Well, it's Thursday morning. Just got off of a long tram ride, crowded tram ride, and noticed that my cash was pickpocketed out of my rear pocket. Fortunately, it wasn't a huge amount. I think it was 15 euros. But anyway, behind me is another one of the obligatory sites here in Belém, which is about a 30-minute tram ride from downtown Lisbon. And I have a feeling I'm not going to go inside that because this is the line. And that is the line to go in, but from my reading, there's not a lot to see inside. So I'll just take a look from outside. All right, let's go see the other obligatory site here, which is the monument to the discoveries. The monument behind me is an exact replica of the seaplane that left Lisbon and arrived in Rio de Janeiro 79 days later in 1922. The plane had two pilots and left from this actual spot. It did have to make stops for refueling, and it was shadowed by a support ship, but still. The monument depicts a caravel setting out to sea with Henry the Navigator in its prow. On the ramps on either side leading up to him are 32 characters who were significant in those days. Each character includes a symbol that alludes to his position as a cartographer, navigator, colonizer, missionary, artist, and so forth. Those people depicted don't look like the kind of people I see walking the streets of Lisbon. Anyway, this is the Discovery Monument. The monument is flanked on each side by an armillary sphere. Here's the other side. The monument was erected in 1960 to mark 500 years since the death of Henry the Navigator. And here is the picture I shot in July 1975. A lot fewer tourists then.
Second left, you are inside the Mediterranean. And you can enter here and go inside Europe. You guys are going to do this. You're going to get out here, enter here, and Cadiz is going to be here. It's this part. Yeah. Over there, America. Other section. First, this part. Brazil is there. Yes, one part. The part of the idiots. Yes, it's okay. It's okay. So what I want you guys to pay attention is the progressively of the dates that the Portuguese were growing up, right? Over here, you can see 1488.
This huge mosaic was installed in 1960 and was a gift from South Africa. The central map illustrates all the countries that Portugal sailed to in the 16th century. There on the other side of the road is the monastery of Jerónimos, which took a century to complete and was funded from the wealth of the 16th century spice trade. The Jerónimos Monastery and Church saw construction beginning 1501 and took a century to complete. 4 years earlier, in a church that previously occupied this site, Vasco da Gama and his men spent the night in prayer before embarking on their perilous voyage to India. The size and grandeur of the architecture bears testimony to the religious motivation and the money that propelled the Age of Discovery. The south portal is not the main entrance, but is where visitors enter the church, and it's certainly the most richly decorated portal. In the center between the two doors, on a pedestal, stands the figure of Henry the Navigator. Above him, the tympanum shows two half-relief carvings of scenes from St. Jerome's life. Above the archivolt, in front of the little window, is a statue of the Madonna. At the top of the facade stands the Archangel Michael, and above the facade is a cross of the Order of Christ. Unlike medieval Gothic columns, these are slender and do not break up the space. The architecture of the interior is known as Manueline, after King Manuel I from the early 1500s. It is highly ornate and elaborate and features many sea motifs. The south chapel of the transept contains an elephant tomb containing the remains of King Sebastião, who was the great-grandson of King Manuel I. The elephant was adopted by King Manuel I as a symbol of his power in the East, and even had some of them brought back to Lisbon, where he paraded them through the city on Sundays. The pulpit ahead features scenes carved in stone from the life of St. Jerome, the namesake of the monastery. The main altar in Renaissance style is flanked by elephant tombs on either side. The paintings depict scenes of the adoration of the Magi and the Passion of Christ. And in the center is a silver tabernacle from the late 1700s. Here we see the other pulpit on the northern side. We see the incredible ornamentation with maritime elements such as artichokes, which fended off scurvy. In the main chapel are the elephant tombs of King Manuel I, and to the right, his second wife, King Maria of Aragon and Castile. The tomb of Vasco da Gama was actually sculpted in the 1800s, and his mortal remains were transferred to it in 1880. Louis de Camões. And likewise, the mortal remains of this great poet were transferred to the tomb in 1880. I'm in the cloisters of the San Geronimus Monastery, considered one of the architectural highlights of this city. This basin was where the monks would wash their hands before going into the refectory to have their meal. And that refectory or dining hall is over here. The refectory is lined with 18th century Rococo tiles. Pretty big room. It reminds me of the old Gothic kind of dining hall at Duke University back in the 1960s. The west wing of the monastery is occupied by the Maritime Museum. This is the Maritime Museum I've just entered. That's the explorer Gillianis. Gilles Eanes was a 15th century explorer whose family belonged to the Portuguese nobility. I don't know how realistic this portrait is, but I was struck by the Nordic or Germanic facial features. Presumably, a Northern European racial stock would have been prevalent in the Portuguese nobility of those times. For what it's worth, I did not see many people who looked like this walking the streets of Lisbon today. King Manuel. This is the model of the flagship of Vasco da Gama's fleet of 4 ships in the late 1400s that reached India in 1498. This armillary sphere was the personal symbol of King Manuel. It's a statue from 1930 of Vasco da Gama. In the late 1500s, the merchant ships were much larger to accommodate hundreds of staff and accommodate a large cargo for the trade that they did. Wow, look at the size of this frigate from the mid-1800s. Wow. Makes me want to get on one of those and take a voyage. These are royal barges from a century or 2 centuries ago. Well, I just got off of a bus, probably the most harrowing bus ride I've ever had. I guess the Portuguese like to eat sardines, but they sure like to pack them into the public transports as well. Oh my God, I can breathe. And anyway, I'm here in front of the Mercado de Ribeira, this famous marketplace. So I'm going to have something to drink in there and take a look. All right. The Mercado de Ribeira, or River Market, is located in this industrial age iron and glass building. And actually, the building really has 2 different entities in it now. On the right side is the old market. And on the left side is this large Time Out Market, it's called, eatery. The Time Out Market is a division of the Time Out Group, which is a London-based company that features curated content on the best places to go, food, drink, travel, etc., written by professional journalists. The first Time Out Market opened here in Lisbon in 2014. Now there are a number of them all over the world, including Boston, Montreal, New York, Chicago, Miami, Dubai, Porto, and on and on. This market is one of Portugal's most popular attractions and receives millions of visitors each year. I stepped outside the market here at this park next door and going to catch my breath and decide what I want to get. Let's have a toast to the oldest man in the place. So like I said, if you want to feel like a sardine, then ride the public transportation. Behind the market I just exited is the notorious Pink Street, which was once the red light district for the sailors. And it still has some bars that are decorated with that Bravo theme, whatever that is. Well, there's one thing to be said, positive, about having a small, cramped, gloomy room, and that is you don't want to spend any time in this room more than you have to. So basically you just use the room to sleep, shit, shower, and shave and get the hell out. It turns out that in the building where I was staying, I would pass a suite of rooms going up and down the stairs that I learned was subsidized by the government for local performing artists. The place had an open and friendly vibe, so I decided to take a respite from my touristy activities and sample some actual current Portuguese culture.
Você tem de me dar teu coração. Meu Deus do céu, não posso te esquecer. Mas da alegria que me dá prazer. Me ajudasse, nosso Senhor, não negaria o meu amor. Me ajudasse, nosso Senhor, não negaria o meu amor.
Eu fiz tudo pra você gostar de mim. Oh, meu bem, não faz assim comigo, não. Você tem que me dar seu coração.
All right, I'm finally getting a start on Friday this afternoon after losing time waiting for my backed up toilet in my room to be repaired. So I'm at the Plaza Martin Moniz, this huge area in the neighborhood of Muraria, and I'm going to start exploring. Now on this plaza, we have two major big department stores. This one is owned by the Chinese, and this one is owned by Indians. Boy, Vasco da Gama would roll over in his grave if he could see what's going on. Portugal has seen a massive influx of immigrants over the last 2 decades, and in fact it has doubled in the last 5 years, with now approximately 10% of the population being foreign born. Well, that's great. The escalator's not running. Oh, heck. All right, I made it up those stairs.
Sorry.
It's okay. No, it's okay. And this monument commemorates what the Moraria birth of fado music. See? Well, I guess the Moors that once inhabited this place were short people, because these doors are very low. It's becoming a warm day here, clearing up, and I'm going to head out to another area. In the Oriente metro station, there's a long bench. That yell you just heard, unfortunately, was directed at me, and I was accosted by a couple of homeless people who sleep down here about my videotaping. One of them, a black man, was particularly aggressive and threatening. I tried to appease him by giving him a couple euros, but he didn't let up and followed me right out of the station. My God, this Oriente huge complex. I just had a incident inside the station, or exiting the station. I was surrounded by these homeless bums who were demanding I delete my camera pictures, and they followed me out of the station. One guy wouldn't just leave me alone, hounding me, and finally a city employee in a uniform motioned me over and intervened and told me they were going to rob me, and kind of rescued me from that happening. The Vasco da Gama Mall is on the site of the 1998 Expo, and the interior is made to look like the main hall of a cruise ship, which I think I could appreciate. This is the Park of Nations, Parque de Nações, and I'm inside the Vasco da Gama Mall, which is teeming with eateries and terraces of cafes. You wouldn't know that beneath the ground were a bunch of bums. All right, I'm going to have my vegetarian lunch now. This is the Grand Esplanade. These were the grounds of the fair of 1998. And on the left side, there are about 155 flags representing the nations that participated in that fair. And then the old Atlantic Pavilion on the left here is now a 18,000-foot concert hall. With the Vasco da Gama Mall behind me, I'm now walking between the two rows of flags of the nations that, as I said, participated in the fair of 1998. Also there, behind the Vasco da Gama Mall, you can see two luxury condo buildings. And I bet they are luxury. The Vasco da Gama Bridge is almost 11 miles long and opened in 1998 in time for the 1998 exposition. So cars could cross the Tejo River from North Portugal to South Portugal. This basin of water has apparently been here a very long time, and before World War II was a so-called parking lot for seaplanes. And that building there is an aquarium. In fact, it's the largest aquarium in Europe. So yeah, you can see all the development, the whole shebang. Of the developers, for the developers, by the developers. Okay, I'm on my next adventure. I'm taking a ferry across the river to Casillas. I hope I can get a ferry back this evening. Well, Cervantes said that he who reads a lot and walks a lot, sees a lot, and knows a lot. I won't comment on whether I know a lot or not, but the first three things I think I've done. Well, I'm now in Casillas, and it definitely smells fish here. Permanently docked here in Casillas is this frigate, which was the last boat to make the run between Portugal and Goa in India It has many cannons defending itself, and it ran about 100,000 miles totally from the middle to latter 1800s. You can go in, but they just closed when I got here. Next to the frigate is this Barracuda submarine, the last of its type to be decommissioned by the Portuguese Navy. It operated for 42 years and made the equivalent of 12 trips around the world. Well, there's a cruise ship. I'm looking forward to Sunday. And there's the view across the river of Lisbon. All right, let's go explore this town. Right off the dock is the main street. Well, after coming very close to being mugged in Oriente Station, I'm going to relax here in this fishing town and have a stout. So I'm stopping here in Casillas, and there were these two young, attractive women who I thought might be twins, but it turns out they're sisters. And we've had a nice conversation about the state of Portugal today. And what is it you do professionally again?
I'm a veterinary doctor.
A veterinary doctor, and you specialize in horses. Horses.
And you? Designer. A designer.
You're a designer. What?
No, I'm not a designer at the moment. I'm a kindergarten, como é que se diz, teacher.
Oh, you teach kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
Okay,
Preschool.
And you both are from Lisbon.
From Lisbon, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I really enjoyed talking with you.
We have to go to Sintra.
Sintra. Next time.
Next stop is Sintra.
Right here next to the ferry terminal is this restaurant that is a fish restaurant that Rick Steves highly recommends. Maybe next time. All right, I think I've had enough of Casillas, though I really enjoyed that conversation with those two Lisbon women. But anyway, I'm going to catch the ferry back to across the river to Lisbon. Dan, sorry about this microphone problem. My voice is being drowned out from the background sounds.
Oh, ey, das Dance wird geil, exacto.
Climbing the stairs up to my apartment, I saw the open door to this little artsy-fartsy Performing Arts Center and decided to cap off the evening with some entertainment. It's Saturday afternoon already, and I'm getting a late start. And I'm at the Rocio, and I'm going to try to catch a train to Sintra for what little remains of the day. I'm on the train to Sintra, and the urbanization, the density of housing and apartments goes on and on. I'm realizing that the historic center of Lisbon, where I've been, is just a very small hub of a gigantic wheel of population. Most of whom seem like they're not even, how to say it, from Portugal. Well, I've walked from the train station to the center of the town of Sintra, and what I have seen so far gives me the impression that this is the crown jewel of the country. Well, I finally got off the bus that takes you up to the Pina Palace here. And this is the line, if you have a ticket, to, I guess it's to get in and or to board that shuttle bus that takes you up. And it's 4:15 in the afternoon. You might think that the tourist crowd would have dwindled, but that's not the case. The town and the sights do seem like they're fantastic, but it's just next to impossible to do it. All right, well, I bought my ticket to the Pina Palace, and I'm now on the shuttle bus that takes you from the main entrance up to the castle, or the palace. I'm here, about to go in. For centuries, Sintra was the summer escape for Portugal's kings and aristocrats as well. This castle was built by the German-born Prince Ferdinand and designed by a German architect. This is the Moorish gate in a drawbridge, it looks like. After a century and a half, the colors of the walls had faded, and in 1996, the castle was restored and repainted to its original colors. A statue of Triton overlooks the entrance to the palace. Below him, the aquatic world of shells and seaweeds, and above him, the terrestrial world of trees. Triton in Portuguese. On a clear day, the castle is apparently quite visible from the Lisbon metro area. For safety reasons, only 400 people are allowed to enter the palace per 30-minute time slot. In 2019, before the safety restrictions were implemented, about 2 million people visited the palace. The small chapel of Our Lady of Pena is one of the few structures from the original monastery that survived the earthquake. This is where the royal family and their guests would have worshipped. The details in the stained glass windows are astounding. If you look carefully at the window on the left, for example, you will see above the king's left hand in the distance a rendition of the castle. And the rendition includes this very window that we're looking at. The palace was built on the site of a 16th century Geronimite monastery. The isolated location would have been found suitable by the followers of Saint Jerome, the hermit monk. This room was the refectory of the original monastery on this site, and it was converted to a dining room for King Ferdinand II. The interiors of the palace have been restored to what it looked like in 1910 when the Portuguese nobility fled to Brazil to escape the revolution. These sketches in Art Nouveau style were actually drawn by King Carlos I. This picture of him is displayed in his bedroom. He reigned from 1889 until his assassination in 1908. This was the bedroom of Queen Amelia, the king's wife. She was originally the French Princess Amélie d'Orléans. She and her son had to flee Portugal during the Revolution of 1910, and this was her husband, King Carlos I. Apparently, King Carlos used the state-of-the-art telephone to listen to the Lisbon Opera. The decorations and furnishings of these rooms give one a glimpse into the extravagant lifestyles of the Portuguese royalty. Clearly, some restoration work is underway. The Great Hall served as a central gathering place for royal receptions and events. This is the visiting room where the aristocrats would have gathered for social interactions. The stag room is festooned with antlers and was originally designed as a banquet hall. The dome is supported by a central column around which is a unique circular dining table. This is the main kitchen of the palace. All right, I think my tour here is over, and I'm going to head back from whence I came. All right, I'm back in Lisbon at the Praça Figueira. My last night in Lisbon, on the way back to the hotel and to get something to eat. All right. Unbelievable. Just under €7. Well, it's the moment I've been waiting for. My week in Lisbon is about finished, and I am saying goodbye to this miserable room. Let's get out of here. So after reading about the great explorers like Bartolomeo Diaz, Pedro Cabral, Vasco da Gama, Fernando Magalhães, I decided if they can do it, I can do it too. So soon I'll be heading out onto the rough, windy Atlantic to start the next chapter of this trip. The lines to get into the terminal are amazing. I've been waiting about 2 hours in this line. As it turned out, the Lisbon Marathon was being run on this very day. This renowned event attracts about 20,000 runners. I don't know for sure, but it is possible that this event was responsible for the long delay in boarding the ship. Finally, just entered my room, my solo cabin room here, and I can't wait to unpack a little bit and go have something to eat. Cup of coffee. I haven't had anything to eat all day, and so the next chapter in this trip is just beginning.